Hey, check it out. Listen, I'm stuck in traffic, so I figured I would take a minute or two here and just share with you one mistake I see contractors making over and over and over that keeps them from making more money, keeps them broke, keeps them stressed out, and it's highly preventable, which is why it's ridiculous. All right, here it is. You ready? You're doing work that you didn't get a signature on, where the client agreed to the terms of service, and conditions, and all that other garbage. Okay, so and that's two different ways. It's when you first start a job. Don't ever mobilize your troops in your business to go out and do work for somebody that has not done a couple things. And one thing is signed a clear proposal and, yes, contract with you based upon that explains what the scope of work is, and how you're going to get paid, when they're going to write you checks and progress payments and all that other garbage. Okay? Second way that this happens is that when you're on a project, you're doing additional work and you're not getting approval for that additional work, and then people are like not paying you, or they don't want to pay you what you told them it was going to be, and they're like, oh, I don't remember that, I wouldn't agree to that, and then you settle for a lesser amount of money. So listen, additional work should be handled exactly the way the original contract is. So if your original contract with the client is $10,000 and you pay me half now, you pay me another $3,000 in 2 weeks, and the final $2,000 on the last day of the job, whatever that progress payment schedule is, that's how additional work should be paid at the bare minimum. I know some consultants and coaches who are brilliant will say don't even do any additional work unless they pay you in full for it before you do the additional work. All right, so that's huge. The big problem here, guys, is that we are often too trusting. And I wish that we could trust people. I wish everyone was like us and paid their bills, right? But at the end of the day, if you want to make sure that you've got plenty of money in your pocket, you've got to be upfront and clear from the get-go of what the terms and conditions are, what the scope of work is, and listen and check this out. Last thing I'll leave you with. When you do a job with somebody, the first instance that they are not honoring the terms of the contract. For example, I used to do a lot of builder work years ago, and one of the terms of my contract as a painting contractor with our custom home builders was that the house needed to be clean and ready for us to show up and start putty sanding and caulking the trim and spraying the trim and painting the house. Okay, and I used to cause myself so much stress in the early days because the trim carpenter wouldn't be done yet, but the upstairs of the house would be done. And I'd go, and the builder would go, well, you could just start upstairs and then, work your way through the house. Guys, every time I did that, it came back to bite me. I spent more time in the job than I planned on because our efficiencies were all jacked up and things like that. And then I got smart, I got wise, and I would go to the house and I'd see the house a few days or a week or whatever it was before we were scheduled to start the job. I would talk to the trim carpenter, and he would go, yeah, we're not going to be done that day, we'll be done 3 days later. So I'd call the builder and I'd go, hey, here's the deal, the house ain't ready, so we're not starting. And they'd go all up in arms and get all pissed off. But I'm like, listen, those were the terms of my proposal and my contract that you signed. The house ain't ready. Okay, so if the house ain't ready the way you need it ready to do your work, don't start the job. And then the second thing is, the minute that you don't get the money per the terms and what's the word I'm looking for? The payment schedule that you laid out in the paperwork. So if you get a third deposit up front and then you're supposed to get another $1,000 on the first day of the job or whatever it is, and the customer doesn't have it for you, don't start the damn job. Just say, hey, can't start the job. These were the terms of our proposal. Oh man, you're really going to hold me to that? I'll get you a check at the end of the day or whatever. It's like, no, you get me a check now, because the minute you don't hold up your end of the contract, what are they going to do? They're going to be bitching and griping and doing bad reviews and, nickel and diming you and playing all these games with you. All right, so protect yourself. don't make these mistakes that so many contractors make, and that's first and foremost not having clear proposals and contracts with the scope of work, what's included, what's not included. But then don't start any work, don't do any work without the signed contract and a deposit check. And I ain't gonna go into this now, but for those of you that are doing work without a deposit, you're stupid, okay? So that's what I got. Fight the contractor fight. We'll see you next time. Hasta la Cuervo.